welcome to Atop the Fourth Wall, where bad comics burn. It's Christmas time! And because it's Christmas time, you're probably wondering why I'm looking at a Star Trek comic instead of a Christmas comic. Oh please, do you not remember our track record so far? The first year I did this got us Bearded Idiot, the next year brought us a Youngblood member trying to follow the 12 Days of Christmas to appease a hairless Cersei, and last year got us the New Kids on the Block, an omnipotent jackass who cared more about an unrepentant drug addict than starving children, and manipulated Spider-Man because an old guy felt kind of sad, and Martians kidnapping Santa Claus. In other words, it's Christmas time, and I'm giving myself a present this year. I'm looking at a comic book adaptation of my second favorite movie of all time, Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan. And before we begin, we need to ask ourselves a deep, important question. Why? If this comic had been made in 1982 when the movie came out, I'd have no question as to why this exists. But no, this isn't one of those movie tie-in comics that came out at the same time as the movie. This came out in 2009, 27 years after the movie. And you know why nobody ever cared to make an adaptation until that point? Because it doesn't need one! I've talked about this film before, but it bears repeating. Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan is, hands down, the best of all the Star Trek films. Even if you're not a Star Trek fan, you should see this movie. The story is positively Shakespearean in its themes of age, revenge, and obsession. It is full of subtle literary allusions, from Moby Dick to Paradise Lost. The acting is absolutely superb, running a full gamut of ranges from subdued to intense. Oh yeah, and it's extraordinarily quotable, full of memorable scenes, tense battles, and interesting nuances. Let me tell you something, people. Camelot may be my favorite movie, but when Star Trek II is on, I have to sit down and watch it. It is an absolutely perfect film. Cutting any scene, any sequence from this film hurts it. Every line of dialogue has a reason to exist, even if it's just a joke. And even for a perfect movie, it can get better. My DVD version of the film leaves out some extended sequences that can be found on the Blu-ray, or some TV versions, and those sequences only add additional flavor to a movie that is already delicious. But the important thing to remember about it is that it needs all of its elements in order to work as well as it does. And guess what doesn't have all of those elements? A comic book! Comic books do not have acting. They do not have delivery, music, or the same kind of pacing that a movie does. Now, don't misconstrue me as saying that comic books are inferior to movies. Hardly. I think it's well established by now that I care more about comic books than I do about movies, and I don't follow very much movie news and information unless it's something I care a great deal about. But the two mediums are very different, and adapting something like Star Trek II would require a hell of a lot of work in order to make it even a tenth of how great the movie is. So let's dig into Star Trek II: The Wrath of...
Warning. An intruder has infiltrated.
Nimue, not now.
But there is...
No, Nimue, this is the review portion of the episode. If there's anything important, we have to save it until the very end.
But this...
Poyo, tell her.
It's no use. When he gets this way, he won't listen. Just do what you can until he's ready.
Confirmed.
Now then, let's dig into Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan and see if they can pull this off.
It could be
cover's pretty decent. It resembles a movie poster, which I like, otherwise not much to say about it. We open to a page giving us the standard Star Trek opening narration. They are wasting a page with this, especially since that narration wasn't spoken until the end of the movie. The only thing they needed was the caption saying, "in the 23rd century," which was a clever way to say, this takes place in the future, and you don't need to know the backstory, since that backstory will be given to you in the movie properly. No opening text crawls or stuff like that. We truly open on the bridge of the Enterprise, which is bathed in red light despite the fact that they haven't gone to red alert yet. Perhaps the true reason we opened with the narration was because we needed to have this two-page spread. Format-wise, it's a two-page spread because there is no reason for this. There is no need for this to be a two-page spread. The Enterprise is on a training mission on the edge of the neutral zone, because when you're on a training exercise, there is no better place to do it than on the border you share with a warring enemy. They receive a distress call from a freighter called the Kobayashi Maru, which has hit a gravitic mine and drifted into the neutral zone. Their life support is failing, and they need help. The woman commanding the Enterprise, a Vulcan named Savick, orders them to go in and rescue them. This is in direct violation of the treaty with the Klingons, but hey, there are several hundred people on board who will die if they don't go in. And of course, as soon as they enter the zone, 3 Klingon attack cruisers decloak and fire torpedoes. Hey, wait a damn minute. Okay, I'm really sorry to get my nerd on here, and admittedly I'm being nitpicky, but those are clearly not Klingon D7 cruisers like they were in the movie. Those are Klingon birds of prey. Again, I know it's a bit nitpicky, but on the other hand, the movie has been out for over 20 years! You couldn't get an easy detail like that right? So after several volleys of weapons, the ship is destroyed and all the crew are dead. At least until the doors open and reveal that it was all a simulation. Hey, wait, okay, this one isn't nitpicky. We get exterior shots of the ship. We see 3 Klingon ships firing at them. We see the ship blowing up from the outside. You can't do that. This is a simulation taking place on Earth. This is bullcrap. It's a way to trick the reader into thinking it was real, except it makes no sense for there to be exterior shots. What's more, this is again something that didn't happen in the movie. In the movie, we never got an exterior shot. It was all on the bridge. Start thinking for 2 seconds. Jeez. This is just like in the Star Trek Elite Force comic where we have an exterior shot of the Borg attacking Voyager. Except as stupid as that one was, it was on a holodeck, which could portray that kind of complex simulation. This is just a simulator room on a mock-up bridge. Anyway, this is all a simulation for cadets at the Academy. I don't really get how the ranking system works at Starfleet Academy, since Savick is supposed to be a cadet too, otherwise why the hell is she taking the Kobayashi Maru simulation, and yet everyone refers to her as a lieutenant. Admiral Kirk walks in, Captain Kirk, going by the rank insignia he's wearing there. Again, nitpicky, but whatever on that one. And she asks for suggestions. Prayer, Mr. Savick. The Klingons don't take prisoners. Except for all those times in the past when they do take prisoners. They're kind of complicated like that. Oh, and one more aside I need to get out of the way. Back in the Star Trek #1 review, which took place after this movie, people kept wondering why the hell Savick was referred to as a Mr. Well, that's easy enough to explain. It was naval tradition to refer to an officer, regardless of gender, as Mr. I don't know if modern-day navies still do that, but at the time that was the case. Spock, aren't you dead? That line is from later on and makes absolutely no sense being said right there. What the hell? Spock is also the teacher of the trainees and instructs them to go to the briefing room. Savick stays behind, however, to complain about the simulation. I don't believe this was a fair test of my command abilities. There was no way to win. Actually, in several Star Trek Expanded Universe novels, we see that there are technically several ways to win the no-win scenario. It's just that the simulation cheats too. For example, when Scotty took the test, he used his knowledge of science and engineering to defeat the Klingon ships. It's just that when the ships were destroyed, several new ones took their place and kept on doing so until he was defeated. My favorite, though, is from Captain Calhoun in the New Frontier novels. His solution? Blow up the Kobayashi Maru and run like hell. He reasoned out that, 1, why the hell was a cargo ship with so many civilian passengers flying that close to the neutral zone? 2, it seemed awfully convenient that so many cloaked ships just happened to be nearby when you made the rescue, combined with the first point making it seem more likely that the whole thing was just a trap. And 3, even if it was genuine, there was no way to save them with such overwhelming odds, and the enemy would have just likely taken the crew of the freighter and tortured and killed them anyway, so he was mercy killing them. See, just because I don't like my superheroes killing doesn't mean I don't like my badass starship captains killing. Anyway, back to the comic. Kirk tells Saavik that a no-win situation is a possibility that every commander must face. Then, looking very, very tired, and is apparently now in some kind of beige void, he tells her that how we deal with death is just as important as how we deal with life. And in Saavik's case, it's to complain that it's not fair. Command material right there, folks! McCoy asks why they don't just put an experienced crew back on the ship instead of putzing around with trainees, but Kirk says that galloping around the cosmos is a game for the young. And apparently we skip the scene where Spock gives Kirk a copy of A Tale of Two Cities, meaning we lost the literary foreshadowing of a man sacrificing himself for others and establishing Kirk's birthday, as well as Spock wondering about the performance of his cadets to establish that he does care about the trainee crew, that is character development for him for a later scene, and you see what I mean when I say that every scene in the movie was important? Even if it's something small, like the thing with Spock and the cadets, it's a part of his character. You leave it out and it diminishes the impact of later events. We cut to the USS Reliant in deep space as they search for a lifeless planet in connection with something called Project Genesis. Okay, SF Debris already made this joke, but they're orbiting a planet called Ceti Alpha 6, and they seem to have a blip on the sensors. The planet has to be absolutely lifeless, for reasons not disclosed right now. We also skip another scene here where they call the science team, eliminating potential foreshadowing about Genesis, as well as setting up Dr. Carol Marcus's past relationship with Kirk, but whatever. Chekhov is now the first officer aboard the Reliant, and he beams down with Captain Terrell. We cut to Kirk's swingin' bachelor pad. You know the man is classy. He has an entire collection of magic guns on his wall. Actually, it's his collection of antiques, and Dr. McCoy arrives to give him a new one. More antiques for your collection. They're over 400 years old. They're for your eyes. Wait, I thought you just said they were for his collection. Make up your mind! He got them for Kirk because his eyesight is going, and he's allergic to the standard 23rd century treatment. Kirk, however, is not exactly feeling great. Damn it, Jim. Other people have birthdays. Why are we treating yours like a funeral? If we are going to treat it like a funeral, we're going to treat it like an Irish wake. Booze me up, Scotty! McCoy says that clearly this isn't about the fact that he's getting older, but about how he's unsatisfied being an admiral and on the ground instead of commanding the Enterprise. Jim, I'm your doctor, I'm your friend. Get back your command.
Get it back before you turn into part of this collection. Before you really do grow old.
I included that because those who adapted this apparently felt that emphasizing the fear of growing older wasn't important to the story, despite it being one of the themes of the story. Meanwhile, we cut to Arrakis, Dune, desert planet, where Chekhov and Terrell beam down. The tricorder gets some faint readings, and they find some cargo containers with the words Botany Bay written on them. Chekhov, recognizing the name, yells out that they need to get away. They don't go inside the containers like in the movie, because they wanted to condense down this sequence of events. I know, you're getting sick of me telling you about scenes from the movie, but damn it, this is important! All throughout the movie, Khan is quoting Moby Dick. He's doing so deliberately, identifying with Ahab's quest for revenge. Now, why would he be so keen on Moby Dick? Because in the movie, Chekhov and Terrell go inside the cargo containers and find what are probably the only books that he has, including Moby Dick, Paradise Lost, and King Lear. Stories about revenge, exile, and betrayal, respectively. They inform his character, damn it! Ugh, okay. I'll try to be funnier with this, alright? Terrell and Chekhov run into a group of Fremen in this admittedly gorgeously drawn splash page. The Sand People take the two inside, and while everyone else has already discarded their sand gear, Khan apparently decided he needed to wait for dramatic effect. In the movie, he waited until his mask was off before he started speaking. Here, he goes through 4 panels before taking it off, meaning that all this dialogue, it actually should sound like this. Chekhov, who is this man? You were to tell me that he'd never told you the tale. He never told you how the Enterprise picked up the Botany Bay, lost in space for the year 1996. I'm the product of late 20th century genetic engineering, as is my crew. We were in cryogenic phase. What you see is all that remains of the ship's crew of the Botany Bay, marooned here 15 years ago by Captain James T. Khan. I did not get a word of that. Could you repeat yourself? I never forget a face. Mr. Chekhov. Isn't it? And yeah, Chekhov wasn't in the episode that Khan first appeared, but that's a minor issue, really. He never told you how the Enterprise picked up the Botany Bay, lost in space from the year 1996. No, that crappy movie came out in 1998. Huh. Come to think of it, that had a comic adaptation too. One sci-fi movie adaptation at a time. We left you on a planet teeming with life. SETI Alpha 5 was a paradise! This is SETI Alpha 5! Shouting with only my lower jaw exposed means I'm angry! Khan explains that SETI Alpha 6 exploded a few months after they were left on the planet, and it shifted the orbit, turning the planet into a desert wasteland. Now, a legitimate question many raise is how the hell a planet just up and explodes for no reason, and why Starfleet, an organization designed to chart and keep track of scientific phenomena, didn't already know about this, or why no one bothered to leave a log entry about Khan so that when someone came into this system, they may note, hey, this is that star system where we left that one guy who was a major historical figure during the eugenics wars. However, I have my own question about this exposition. How the hell did Khan know about the planet exploding? I mean, this place is pretty run down, and the Botany Bay wasn't exactly designed for big scientific journeys, so it probably didn't have a telescope, so how the hell did Khan learn about the planet exploding? If we don't have some kind of telescope or something, we only see planets in the sky as stars, if at all. How the hell did he know the other planet exploded and shifted their orbit, and that they didn't just happen to set down on the one crappy part of the planet that happened to have a 15-year desert period or something? On Earth, 200 years ago, I was a prince. Now I am the Khan formerly known as Prince. Khan, realizing that they didn't expect to find him there, wants to know what they're doing there. As such, he brings out his brain slugs so he can take control of their minds.
We favor unreasonably huge subsidies to the brain slug planet.
Sometimes it's just fun to be a supervillain. Little trivia note on the movie version, since they're skipping the bit where he puts the slugs in their ears. For those scenes, they actually constructed a giant prop ear to have the slug crawl into. I just love imagining the budget meeting where they decided they needed to build that for the effect. We cut back to the Enterprise, where Kirk is doing an inspection tour of the ship. No dust, Mr. Scott. What a welcome surprise on this flying old death trap. My compliments to the Chief Maid Officer. Scotty's midshipman, a little wiener named Pressman, takes a bit of offense to the remark about the ship, but of course it was just a little test from Kirk to see if the kid was just as insane as Scotty is about the honor of the ship. Pressman is also Scotty's nephew. Boy, I sure hope something horribly tragic doesn't happen to him to illustrate the dangers that they face as well as the youth and age theme. Well, Mr. Scott, are your engines capable of handling a minor training cruise? Give the word, Admiral. Oh, sweet, merciful crap! What the hell is that thing? Scotty, never smile again! The ship gets underway with Spock giving Saavik the captain's chair so she can pilot the ship out of space dock. I'm pretty sure you don't fly the ship from the captain's chair, but whatever. We get another absolutely beautiful splash page of the Enterprise departing space dock. I'll give the book one thing, horrifying smiles aside, a lot of the artwork is actually breathtakingly fantastic. However, since I am a critic, I feel the need to critique this image as well. They're supposed to be in space dock, right? Then what the hell is with the background? The space dock is apparently made of translucent metal that lets you see stars on the other side. Oh, except for those two huge lights or windows or whatever right there. On top of that, I thought we were in orbit over Earth, and the sun looks kind of weird. Also, I think the Enterprise may be running an oil-rich mixture. There's a lot of smoke coming from its exhaust from the looks of it. We cut to Space Station Regula 1, where a group of scientists are working on Project Genesis. They get hailed by Chekhov, who informs them that Ceti Alpha 6 is perfect for Genesis, and they're coming to take it from them. They are outraged by this, since they refuse to let anyone have control of Genesis because of the dangers of the device. Of course, they don't say that. I only know that because I saw the damn movie. Instead, they seem like scientists who are pissed off for no adequately explained reason. Who gave the order? The order comes from Admiral James T. Kirk. I knew it! And because the comic left out the previous scene establishing how the one scientist, David Marcus, positively hates Kirk, this reaction makes no sense. Without that scene, their reactions are more like, Admiral Kirk? That's awesome! I want his autograph! Dudes, it was Admiral Kirk! Can you believe it? Back on the Enterprise, Saavik meets with Kirk in a turbolift and mentions how she's still bothered by her performance in the Kobayashi Maru scenario. She asks him how he dealt with it, but he evades the question. Also, McCoy is there so we can have one line from the movie, but not the really funny one that he makes before getting into the turbolift. Instead, Dr. Carol Marcus calls the ship, she's the lead scientist lady from Regula 1, and wants to talk to Kirk, and McCoy just makes his comment about how it never rains, but it pours. Except when it hails. Or snows. Or acid rain. Forget what I said. Dr. Marcus asks him why he's taking Genesis away, but Kirk doesn't understand what she's talking about. Before she can talk any further about it, the transmission is jammed. At Regula 1, the scientists decide that they can't allow Reliant to take Genesis, so they start formulating a plan on what to do before the ship arrives. On the Enterprise, Kirk goes to meet with Spock and, well, to contrast the gorgeous art, we have this rather pudgy, distorted Kirk. Kirk tells Spock that they've been ordered to look into what's happening at Regula 1. I told Starfleet Command that all we had was a boatload of children, but we're the only ship in the quadrant. You know, with as many times as the plot device of we're the closest ship or we're the only ship in range comes up in Star Trek, it really makes you stop and wonder if the Federation only has 2 friggin' ships in its entire fleet at a time. Kirk wonders how the cadets will handle real pressure. Yes, how will they handle being under pressure? Under pressure. Like all living things, each according to his gifts. Some will merely wet themselves, while others crap their pants and run screaming back to their rooms. Spock offers command of the ship back to Kirk, but he modestly refuses. Jim, you proceed from a false assumption. I am a Vulcan. I have no ego to bruise. Except when you beat me at chess. Then I harbor a deep grudge that will only be sated by sticking pawns up your nose. If I may be so bold, it was a mistake for you to accept promotion. Commanding a starship is your first best destiny. Your second best destiny is scoring with tons of alien women. Your least best destiny is almost killing the franchise with the 5th movie. Spock dictates that the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few, thus meaning it makes more sense for everybody for Kirk to be in charge. You are my superior officer. You are also my friend. I have been and always shall be yours. And 3 dozen slash fics spontaneously generated from that line alone. Kirk arrives on the bridge and orders them to head to Regula 1. He informs the trainee crew about the change of situation. I know none of you expected this. I'm going to have to ask you to grow up a little bit sooner than you intended. And for that, I'm sorry. And that's the end of the issue? What the hell? You're ending this on him saying he's sorry? He even looks so depressed in this panel. Is this supposed to be a sad, dramatic cliffhanger or something? In the movie, the scene was slightly triumphant, but with Kirk assuming command of the ship again? And yes, he basically said the same dialogue, though the lines are in a different order, but it wasn't like it was something to feel bad about, it was just him apologizing. This comic is completely unnecessary. It's a watered-down version of a much superior film, lacking a lot of details that help shape the characters. But hey, we've still got 2 issues to go, so there's still hope. Now then, Nimue, what was it you wanted to tell me?
Intruder alert. Sensors detect a robotic form attempting to gain access to this unit's propulsion systems.
What? Mechakara! He must have gotten aboard Comicron 1!
We must get aboard and stop him.
Lock him out, Nimue!
I was unable to stop Mechakara from gaining control of the propulsion systems. However, I have locked out every other major system and am in the process of locking down less critical systems.
Nimue, teleport us up and contact everyone else!
Already underway. Iron Liz responding. Fine Voice, 90s Kid, Ninja, and Bafo are not responding. Linksano responding, but informs me that he is in the middle of a dangerous experiment and cannot leave. He recommends you deploy Security Sentry.
Do it! Hey, wait, Nimue, why aren't we on the bridge?
Information. Mechakara has gained access to secondary security lockouts. He has sealed the bridge and is currently instigating Emergency Procedure 2.
Procedure 2? He's locking down the ship! Damn it! Have you locked him out of everything else?
Security lockout is engaged. He is attempting to bypass, but he will not be successful.
Liz, what's your status?
Looks like I got dumped on level 7, but I'm in a hallway too.
We'll do what we can from here. We're on level 2, so we'll try to get to the bridge and unlock all the doors. You head down to engineering and try to secure the area. We cannot let him gain control of the ship from there.
And if he gets to engineering?
Comicron 1 has enough destructive capability to level the Earth. Its sensors were designed to track every variety of life forms it could find. If Mechakara gains control of it, he will kill every living thing he can find. I will not allow that to happen. This is my ship, and I will destroy it before I let anything like Mechakara possess it.
Who's been holding up the damn elevator?